Hello, Sir John. Hey there. My name is Herb. I'm from Sheffield DocFest staff. We're so excited to premiere your film, Factory to the Workers, in our international competition. And let's all welcome Sir John Kovacevic.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us. And if you have any questions via the Slido website, please send and I'll get them up here. But first, I wanted to ask you, Sir John, about the beginning of the project, and not really how at the beginning, but why. I wanna ask you about um, what sort of allowed you to invest your time and effort in 2015. Like what was the thing that really drew you to shooting with ITAS, and what told you sort of that there was this compelling story that would unfold?
Well, first, I started in 2015. I first went to the factory basically to shoot a story of the successful example of the factory takeover. But then after a few days spent in the factory, I realized that things aren't going so well. I didn't plan to shoot 5 years. For 5 years, I thought I would shoot for a half a year or a year or something like that. So, but yeah, I think just the fact that it's the only successful example of the factory takeover in this part of the Europe. Well, that was just enough for me to start shooting. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to ask sort of what guided your formal decisions, especially about the way that you shot in the factory, and that you yeah, maybe composed the shots, and sort of how you thought about, yeah, formally what the film was going to be like while you were composing it.
I'm sorry, the sound is doubling in my earphones. Can you just
Any better now?
I have two sounds. One is like 10 seconds
Oh no.
um, late.
Is there anything text can do to help out the sound? I'm going to try to ask the question again. Um, so, can you talk a little bit about the formal decisions that went into the way that you would shoot, on the factory floor, and how you kind of related the camera to the workers, and what that kind of shooting and presence was like for you?
Yeah, well, I wanted to show the whole collective, the all levels of the factory. The main character Varga, who was the leader of this rebellion. Then I wanted to show the workers and also the former director. So I started by following Varga for first days or first months, and then little by little this level of the workers opened. How to say? So um, well, the shooting day was always kind of confusing. I didn't know what to expect. So as I went to the factory, um, at that present time, I just decided what to follow. Should I follow the workers? Should I follow the director? Should I follow Varga? Um, well, it was not clear from the time before, from the days spent before in the factory. What can I expect the next day in the next days?
And we have a great question from the audience, which is really how did you develop that relationship with the workers, in terms of them agreeing to be filmed within such a delicate situation? Maybe you could talk about Varga, for instance. How did you what was your, you know, beginning of the relationship like with him and with some of the other workers?
Well, uh, Varga. Well, when I first came to the factory, I had a talk with Varga, and he gave me the green light immediately, and it was kind of easy to follow the story of Varga. He had some need also to present the story of the factory. But then, and the same thing happened with the director. I'm really thankful to both of them that they gave me this approach, that I could follow them no matter what happened. But with the workers, it was more complicated for sure. Well, some of them were interested in shooting. Most of the workers were, well, they didn't know what to expect, so they were kind of, um, they just tolerated the fact that I'm there in their presence. And well, there were also some of the workers which couldn't see the camera, but well, in the first month or two, um I took some workers which wanted to be shown, and I just started to work with them. So that was around that.
And can you talk about the film begins with a description of the solidarity agreement that you have
Yep.
with the workers in terms of the film? Can you just expand on that a bit more?
Yeah. So we wanted to make a new kind of contract in which we would share the profits of the film, if there would be any, with the workers and all the film crew, which is in the film. Um, the Usually in film production in Croatia, I can say. Um, the profits which a film can make is usually only shared between producers, and in a way I thought that was kind of wrong because everybody invests in the film with their work, not only with the capital. So, and usually the films in Croatia are produced by the money of the society, of the state, through Croatian Audiovisual and Fund. So I thought it would be really fair to share the money that we could make, to give it back also to the workers and to the protagonist. This is kind of a new deal, I would say, in film industry in Croatia, and our aim is, even if we don't have any profits with the film, our aim is to make a new standard, to share, to cast a new light on this matter. Let's say.
And of course, it's certainly fitting with the the topic at hand. There's a really great question from an audience member which asks, "What was the attitude of the National Metal Workers Union to this experiment in worker control?"
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's doubling. The sound's doubling. So now I'm hearing the sound that is later in my earphones more firmly. Yeah. Well, the attitude. Well, nobody was really happy with factory takeover because it was a kind of a new thing. Um, the other factories in Croatia or in ex-Yugoslavia were taken over, but usually in a day or two, the workers were expelled by the special police forces. Why this didn't happen here? There are a few theories, but nobody for sure knows why. So as it as the workers took over the factory, and in the next week or two they started again the production. Um, this everything was rather new for everybody, and union members and politicians in a way, and nobody really firmly backed them up. So the workers, more or less from that period till today, are on their own, and this is one of the problems, I would say, that we can see in this example of ITES. The help from outside of the factory is is needed, and it's not present. I would say that if we could think of factory takeovers as a successful things, successful stories, the local community, the unions, and uh, the other actors from the civil scene or or politicians, I would say, need to work with the workers in this.
Question, which is a bit about the sort of structure of the film. So, how did you choose the footage that started the film and that ended the film? And I'll sort of build on that by saying this the factory workers group image that you show at the beginning is really evocative, and even at this point, when someone's looking back and saying this person's retired, this person's died, it's a really special moment in the film. And I contrasted that with, at the end, the group coming in, and just the makeup of people is so much different. And so can you talk about that as sort of a beginning moment and an ending moment, and how that fit your structure?
Yeah, well, the structure of the film was, we made it in in the editing room. We shot the last part of the film in last spring, in March. That's what you see at the end of the film. So by that moment, we didn't know basically what will happen, and we didn't know what will be the film's ending. Um, so I would say that, as you can see in the film, there is a clash between the old workers and older and younger workers. Young workers have a different interest than the old workers. The old workers have this collective memory, or the memory of collective from the socialist period, and as they took over the factory, that was really a special moment for them, I would say. On the other hand, the young workers, the kids that are coming today to the factory, uh, don't have this memory, and don't have this connection with the factory, with their workplace. More or less, they're interested mostly in the money. So through these 5 years that I spent there, I think more or less 80% of the youngsters that I met in the factory are now somewhere else, usually in Austria, in Germany, in Slovenia, in some other factories around, in in Italy, which are in the hands of the private owners. Um, so the question would be probably what will happen when all the old workers retire. As you, that question was also in the film, but I think that's the main question of this of ITAS.
Hmm. And just another audience question. Maybe this is a good one to wrap it up on because it's sort of a double question. The person is wondering about the things that you decided not to show in the documentary. So, whether the factory has indeed survived in the current moment, and also, the question that you kind of leave open, which is, whether the director was dishonest in his position.
Well, the factory survived. Today, it's around 120 workers still working there. Um, and they are paying out salaries regularly. But the situation is kind of similar to the ending of the film, let's say, because of the current crisis, COVID crisis. Everything is a little bit stuck. Probably not here or in Croatia, probably the same throughout Europe. On the other hand, I couldn't say what was the position of the director. Nobody could really tell. Nobody could have in hand the hard facts, about did he did some stealing, did he do this and or that. I don't have the strong opinion on this one. If I had, maybe I would put it in the film, basically. But this is really what happened. Um, they did kick him out, and they kick out the three previous directors also. That's something that's not shown in the film. It's kind of, I would say it's a class conflict basically, because for director for the position of the director, usually they would took somebody from the upper class, let's say middle class, um, and now when this director Bojo left the company, Varga became director, as you saw at the end of the film, and they got some subsidies from the state, from the Croatian state, to some fund. It was around 1 million of the euro for some program that needed to be done in the factory, some kind of modernization, this and that. And because of the COVID crisis, also they couldn't sign the contract with the state because the state was always like, "We'll do it in next couple of months. We'll do it after that, this and that." And now, at the ending, before a few months, Varga got a letter from the fund, um, stating, questioning what are his abilities to run the factory, because he's just a simple worker with high school, no. So as he didn't have the education, the higher education, uh, they cancelled these subsidies to ITAS. So I would say it is a class conflict.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that's really frustrating to hear, but also, um, really fascinating. And like your film has unfolded over many years. I'm sure that this story will be, a continually rich. A story that I hope we'll have some way to follow up on. But we're really again, so pleased to show your film, and I think, I think also for me, these moments of complexity and contradiction that you introduce, like, make it a really, really very rich work, and a very yeah, really, really stunning film. So thank you so much, Sir John.
Thank you so much for having us here, and hope to see you next year, probably in
To see
Sheffield.
you next year. Yeah, have a good one.
Bye.